From Newsroom South East, the main stories tonight. Police hunting the killer of a young Dagenham mother have appealed for her friends to come forward. They're anxious to trace the last movements of 22-year-old Deborah Matthews, who was found murdered at her home on Saturday evening.
The body of Deborah Matthews was found by a neighbour on Saturday evening after her mother had failed to gain access to the house at Brett Gardens in Dagenham. She'd been stabbed several times and her 3-year-old son Dexter was discovered unharmed, locked in one of the bedrooms. The police say they have no clues as to the motive for murder.
Certainly it doesn't appear to be a sexual murder. We found nothing stolen from the premises at the moment, so at the moment we're still looking.
The neighbour who discovered the body described the scene having forced his way into the house.
Well, I've seen dead bodies before, but nothing like, not this calibre. It was an execution, you know, it was really evil. She was bound, stabbed and whatever else, I don't know.
Police have carried out house-to-house investigations which so far have failed to provide any meaningful clues as to the murder. Meanwhile, Deborah's son Dexter is being cared for by his grandmother.
London Underground are to hold urgent talks with rail unions tomorrow in a bid to halt next week's all-out stoppage on the tube. They'll be offering a new deal on rostering to union leaders in an effort to avert next Monday's strike by tube drivers and platform staff over management changes. An unusual service has taken place at a Kent church. Among the congregation at St Andrew's in Dover were more than 100 animals and birds, including a horse, a kestrel, assorted cats, dogs, rabbits and a python. The service was held to mark the start of National Pet Week. And that's all from Newsroom South East for this bank holiday. Now here's Michael Fish with the weather.
Good evening to you. I think somebody forgot to tell the weather that today was a bank holiday, certainly at least as far as the eastern parts of the country were concerned. In fact, here's a selection of today's temperatures. Waddington topping the list, 20 degrees Celsius, 68 Fahrenheit, and as you can see, some quite reasonable temperatures in many other eastern areas. But it was rather variable, the weather today. In fact, some coastal areas, troubled by a bit of cloud and mist, stayed quite miserable. Eastbourne and the Isles of Scilly, for instance, only 12 degrees or 54 Fahrenheit. But then you've got to bear in mind that the sea at this time of the year is pretty cold. But even so, our temperatures and our weather was a lot better than most of the Mediterranean. Yugoslavia, Italy, even Mallorca having lower temperatures than we had. Now, there was a fair amount of cloud around earlier on, but as you can see over Ireland and northern England, it has begun to break. We've got high pressure on the sea, and we're going to keep that with us for the next few days, just feeding these southwesterly winds across most parts of the country and keeping it fine and dry too. Although this little frontal system will continue to affect northwestern areas and bringing them some thicker cloud and some outbreaks of rain. In fact, that's going to be coming along during the course of the night as well. Most other areas are fine, dry night, but a good deal of cloud around. In fact, the cloud tending to spread across from the west as the night goes on. But everywhere, a mild night, 9 degrees there, 48 Fahrenheit. Tomorrow, most parts starting off rather on the grey and cloudy, misty side too. But I think in sheltered spots, central and eastern England, southeast Scotland, southeast Ireland, it won't be long before the sun begins to break through. And I think most areas then having quite a reasonable amount of sunshine for the rest of the day. Many of these western and southern coastal areas keeping more in the way of cloud, but the thickest cloud really reserved for Northern Ireland and the north and west of Scotland, where you'll continue to have some of those outbreaks of rain from time to time as well. Perhaps one or two patches of fog lapping onto those coasts as well. And that with the clouds spoiling the day temperature-wise around many of those coastal areas, 14 degrees there, for instance, 57 Fahrenheit, whereas in the brighter central and eastern areas it's going to turn out to be another very warm day with a temperature very close to the magic 70 mark. That's all for now. A very good evening to you.
We're dropping in on tomorrow's world first this Tuesday evening, but at 7:30, modern technology breaks down.
Sorry I'm a bit late, Frank.
What is this, another mysterious virus, is it?
No, I've been helping Ian push start that motor you sold him.
Not sharks, but crocodiles at 8 o'clock when Wicker meets some Brits down under with unusual occupations.
You'll need a laugh or two after Wicker's World, and where better to find one than in the programme you write. Brilliant it is. Honest. Points of view. 10 to 9.
At 9:35, a love story begins in Take Me Home.
Anybody think they're having an affair the way we're carrying on?
In Film 89, I'll be reviewing Mississippi Burning, starring Gene Hackman, and we talk to Lauren Bacall on the set of her new film.
At 11:05, Network looks at crime-busting programs, a real attempt to solve crimes or cheap entertainment. And this is Tuesday night on 1.
In 45 minutes, we've a rare television performance by Gloria Gaynor, recorded in concert at the NEC Birmingham. Now on One, a change of course for another pop star, as Sheena Easton makes the first of a series of guest appearances in Miami Vice.